Hey guys, Asap here and welcome to C++ tutorial number 29. In this tutorial we're just going to be looking at a cool feature of C++, which is overloading functions. Now in C++, we are able to do something called overloading functions, whereby we create a function with the same name, but we change them so that C++ knows can differentiate between the two functions, and it knows which one we're calling when we call the function. It can differentiate between them. Now, of course, we can't do this purely based on the return value, because if, for instance, in this scenario we can see, actually, before I cover that, let's just cover this. You can see here we've got two functions, both with the same name. Now, the only thing that's different about them, both with the same return type as well, which is void. The only thing that's different is the parameter list. So one only takes one parameter and the other takes two. Let's take a look at the definitions. Basically, all we're doing is outputting them. So how does C++ tell the difference between these two functions when we call them? Well, it's simple. It's really quite simple, actually. If we call SumFunc with only one argument, C++ knows we're calling this version of the SumFunc function, because this version only takes one parameter and we've only supplied one argument, so clearly we're calling this version. If we call SumFunc with two arguments, it knows we're calling this version, because this version takes two parameters and we are supplying two arguments. So that's the basically that's how we overload functions. The only way we can do it is if we differentiate the parameter list. As you can see here, I've just demonstrated this with this third definition of SumFunc, which returns an integer and it takes one parameter. Now what you'll notice is this is exactly the same as this function, apart from the return type. And this is where the problem comes in. How does C++ know when we call the function here and here as well? How does it know which one to call? How does it know whether to call on here the one which returns void, or the one which returns an int? And the same for this one. And the truth is, it doesn't. So for this reason, if we try and compile this, you'll see we get some errors. We get a couple of them. We get int SumFunc int, overloaded function differs only by return type from void SumFunc int, C declaration of SumFunc. And yeah, basically you get the gist of that. I'm not going to cover all of the errors we get, because I'm pretty sure you understand. Another problem we see with overloading functions, sorry guys, let me just get this, okay, there we go, is that we can't, if we have these two functions like normal here, this will not work if we do something like this, because if we supply a default parameter, what's going to happen is we're going to see that basically how does C++ differentiate between these two if we supply only one? If we supply only one, it could be calling this version, because this version takes only one argument, or it could be we could be talking about this version, because we might just be supplying one argument, and we might just be wanting to use the default of the other parameter. So for this reason, this doesn't work. This works fine though. If we do something like this, I know, oops, not bot 3 there. This will work, because here we have to by default supply two arguments, and then the third one is optional. So here, in this case, we'd be calling this function because we're supplying two arguments, and then we're just using the default. So this would work. This would also work. Oops, 30. That will work, because it's calling the same function rather than using the default one. We're supplying our own value. Okay. Let me just take this away. So basically that's it. Let's just take a look at oh yeah, let me show you the errors we get when we have a default parameter. Of course it won't run, and it simply says ambiguous call to overload a function. It could be void SumFunc int, or void some func int. So it could be either the one which takes 2 ints or the one which takes 1 int. And for that reason, it doesn't work. Okay. Now let's just look at the program actually running in action. We can see, as expected, it outputs 16 in this function, and in the other function it outputs the 2 values. Okay, so basically just a quick tutorial on overloading functions. So all you need to remember is that the thing that allows you to overload functions is a differentiation. I don't think that's a word. Is differing the parameter lists in the functions, and not the return types. Okay, and that in this way we can create functions with the same name. Okay, and that's how C++ differentiates between the two function calls. Okay, guys, over and out.